War drum Batreps, the sounds of war.
Master Librarian, I've been made aware of a distress signal from the planet Tarvan. A small mining colony called Wayton has gone dark. Perhaps it is connected to that anomalous reading we got from that sector earlier this month. Maybe it warrants further investigation. Well, hello to you too, Lieutenant Maxus. Well, yes, I believe further investigation will be warranted in this case. Perhaps a full show of strength, all of the shadows, just to make sure that any would-be invader is dissuaded from doing this sort of thing again. Yes, let us proceed to Tarvan. I will assemble the boys immediately, and Emperor help anyone who stands in our way.
Hey guys, welcome. As I said earlier, this will be the start of the narrative solo campaign of the Shadows of Ultramar. These guys, best of the best. They're responding, as I said in the start, they're responding to a distress call sent out from this little township called Wayton on the planet of Tarvan on the edge of the Ultramar Sector. Now, the way it's going to work out is we're going to do deployment slightly differently. They will deploy in random quarters. I'll roll off for each unit, depending on the roles, they will deploy in those sectors. The other thing as well, there will be no enemy on the field to begin with. The job of the Shadows of Ultramar is to explore this township and try and find if they can locate the enemy before the enemy locate them. At the end of turn 2, if the Shadows of Ultramar have not rolled and found the enemy will ambush them from either side and the battle will commence at that point. So it's going to be slightly different. The way I'm going to have most of the units on the field, but the eliminators and the suppressors will be off the field to start with. When the suppressors come in, we're going to do their deployment slightly differently. They're not going to do the normal kind of like 9th edition deep strike rules. We're going to add in something a little bit different. They're going to come in and we're going to do a scatter that we used to do in the older editions. What's going to happen if they scatter and they hit dangerous terrain, I'm going to basically do a combat attrition test. Roll the leadership as if they lost 3 guys, and we'll take it from there. If they fail, 1 will die, and the other 2 will take a break test to see if they perish as well. So just something a little bit different, a little bit narrative, because I don't like deep strike the way it works now. I like a little bit of danger, a little bit of kind of randomness. So that's what we're going to go with. But yeah, so I will show you the battlefield, and we'll get started with the deployment. Okay, cool. This is the battlefield that lies ahead of you. This is a small township, or what's left of Wayton. It's been destroyed by something. We don't know what. The Shadows of Ultramar are here to find out what caused it, and we shall proceed with the deployment. So we'll go with the top left being number 1, and we'll go around clockwise in even quarters. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll deploy from there. So we have the tank here, the repulsor, with the psyker, the lieutenant, and a squad of infiltrators. And over here we have the other squad of infiltrators. So we'll be rolling for those, and we'll see where they end up. So we're going to start with these guys. So they're going to be in 5 and 6 will be a reroll. They're going to be table quarter 2, so they're going to be over there. So that's good for them. And for the tank itself, it's going to be 6 will be a reroll. It's going to be a table quarter 3, so it's also going to be on that side. So we'll get them deployed and we'll get right back to it. So there we go. Boys are deployed. The way it's going to work is they can move as normal. They have nothing to shoot at, but what they're going to do is they're going to roll a dice. And what happens in that with that dice, I shall explain to you in a second. So what's going to happen when they search? Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to roll a d6. On that d6, 1, 2, they'll find nothing, and the turn will carry on. On a 3, 4, they will find a survivor, and then that will go to another d6 roll. If they find a survivor, on a 1, 2, 3, the survivor is dead. On a 4, 5, 6, the survivor will tell them a clue about what they are looking, what enemy they are looking for. So we'll go from that. On a 5 and a 6, they will find the clue they are looking for, and the battle will begin. The battle will begin with the fact that they will stumble across the enemy, and I'll deploy them in a way that looks like our boys are ambushing them instead of the other way around. So we'll take it from that. It hopes to be fun. It's a little bit of an experiment, so we'll see how it pans out. Alright, so we'll get to the turn one. So this is where the guys find themselves after deployment, and we'll get to the other camera for the rolls. So the infiltrator squad, they're going to roll off and see if they can discover anything about the fate of the town. They roll off. They've rolled a 3. That means they find a survivor. Now they need to see if the survivor is alive and well, or if the survivor is in fact perished. The survivor is alive and well. They will give them a clue, which means the next time they roll off, they will get +1 to the roll. Okay, but only for them, not for the other unit. The other unit will now roll. So the repulsor team are going to roll off and see if they can find anything. They get 3 as well, so they will see if their survivor is alive or they're dead. They roll a 3, so they find a crispy survivor who is perished, and they will now get -1 to their next roll. So we'll proceed on. So this will be into turn 2. So they'll move again, and we'll take it from there. So this is turn 2 movement, and remember, if they don't find what they're looking for this turn, they will be ambushed. So infiltrators find themselves here. They've got to roll off. Remember, they +1 to the roll. So on a 4 and a 5, they will find what they're looking for. They have found what they are looking for, and we shall set them up as if they have discovered the enemy. So the enemy that has been causing all the trouble on Tarvan is the Necrons. And our brave heroes of Ultramar have stumbled across them. And as they are the ones who did the discovering, they're going to get their turn straight away. So it's basically turn 3, but it's the first turn of the actual battle, so the Ultramarines will go first. So here we go. There's the Necrons as they stand. And the Ultramarines have had their snipers pop out of cover so they can lend a hand. But yeah, we will get on with the deployment of the suppressors, and then we will crack on with our turn 1. Here is the moment of truth. Can the suppressors manage not to peril on the drop-in? They scatter 2 inches that away. I'm pretty sure that might actually have them landing on the building. It actually doesn't. They actually just miss the building because they're coming back at that kind of angle. So they do not perils. Oh well. We were hoping for something mildly exciting to happen there, but it didn't. Hey! So yeah, I'll add in the caveat at this point that the suppressors and the eliminators, because these guys are considered the best of the best of the best, and I'm an Ultramarine fanboy, they are not, when they're firing their weapons, enemies don't receive benefit from cover, there'll be no -1s to hit. These guys are like super soldiers, so there'll be none of that -1s. Also, it's narrative, so you know, I can do what I want. But yeah, so I figured because these guys are the best of the best, and they're going to be up in battles where they're going to be like put upon with massive amounts of numbers, that's going to be the rules. And basically everyone receives the benefits of, in the Shadows of Ultramar, receive the benefits of cover, whether they're in cover or not, because they're meant to be special forces. So we go for turn 1. And these boys here are going to start the shooting off. And they're going to shoot this chappie here. So I hemmed and hawed whether I was going to go with the executioner rounds or the mortis rounds. So I decided just to go for the mortis rounds. So roll ahead with these guys, hitting on 3s. So we have 1 miss there. So these 2 shots, they will be wounding on 4s. You got 1 wound. Because it's the mortis rounds, that causes a mortal wound in addition to the D3 damage. So we'll get the Monsieur Nekiron Overlord to make a little save. And that is -2, so he will be saving on
not a 1, put it like that. So he will take D3 plus a mortal. So that's 2 plus a mortal wound. So Mr. Overlord has 2 wounds remaining. So we shall see what happens next in the shooting phase. I believe Mr. Tanky will go next. I almost committed ultimate heresy there. I've been using the wrong dice. I should have been using these bad boys. I have rectified that now. We shall continue. So we're going to start the shooting phase for the tank, going with the big Gatling cannon on top. And it's going to be firing basically everything it's got into the Scorpic destroyers. So hitting on 3s. So it's a good start. We've got 1 miss. Now that is strength. Let me check. That is strength 5 against toughness 5. So we're looking for 4s to wound. Again, a pretty strong roll there. We dropped 2 more. So the Necrons have got to make 9 -1 saves. The 9 -1 saves. They fail to make quite a few. So they only fail 5, which is enough to kill 1. And then wound another. So not too bad. So yeah, that was enough to kill 1 of them off altogether and put 1 on 2 wounds. So we've now got the rest of the firing coming from the tank, trying to get rid of these destroyers. So go for the twin las next. That's 1 failed, 1 hit. Wounding on a 3. It is a wound. It is a 6-up save for the Necrons. They make a 6-up save. Can't beat that. Go for the Iron Hail Heavy Stubber next. 1. Wounding on 5s. Strength 4, toughness 5. So they both fail. Go for the Icarus rocket pods next. They will be hitting on 4s because they're -1. And they are heavy D3. So that's 2. Hitting on 4s. Both fail. We'll lastly go for the Crackstorm grenades. So that's 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. That is 1 wound. 1 at -1. They fail, so that's another wound. That kills the other one. So there is 1 left remaining in that squad. And last but not least, the mini Gatling cannon on the far side. We've got 5 hits. And they will be wounding on 4s. So you got 2 wins from that at -1. They fail another one, and the last Scorpic destroyer takes a 1 wound. So that's the tank shooting done. Didn't kill as much as I thought it was going to, but hey ho. We'll see what happens as we proceed on. Now the suppressors are going to fire. 2 of them are going to fire into the scarabs there, and 1 of them is going to fire and try and finish off this Scorpic destroyer. I'll roll for the 2 firing into the scarab bases. That's cocked. So we got 4 hits there. It's strength 7. They are toughness 3, so they are going to be getting wounded on 2s. So that's 3 wounds, -2, 2 damage. Now as the scarabs have a 6-up save, it goes straight through their save, and it's 2 damage a pop, and that is enough to kill 1 of the bases. Now for the suppressor firing into the Scorpic destroyer. He hits twice, wounding on 3s. He fails to win both times. I will CP one of those. He fails to win again. So the little Scorpic destroyers holding on for dear life. So we will now have the infiltrator squad have a little pop at these Necrons. So 3 of them are within rapid fire range. So we get 8 shots, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 4s. Strength 4, toughness 4. So that is 3 saves, and the Necron saves of 4 up. 3 and 4 up. They save them all. They are tanking their saves.
So as it stands, the Necrons didn't lose as much as the Ultramarines might have hoped they would have. So now we go for the Necron turn 1, and we'll see what happens. Should at this point say as well, as far as command points went, there wasn't really a set list we were going to go with for either of them, so basically just put what was on the field on the field. Going to go with basically they have 5 command points each, with the Ultramarines being down to 4 because they used 1 for a reroll. We're going to take it from there. Most of these narrative ones will be 5 either side. They will only be used for rerolls. They won't be used for any of the stratagems or anything like that. They will literally be used for rerolls. And that'll be about it. So this is where the Necrons have pushed out to. They are pushing up the field to try and take away these would-be ruiners of their fun. They've worked really hard to destroy the populace of this planet and they believe it's theirs. So they're going to try and get these Ultramarines off Tarvan and out of Wayton so they can carry about their nefarious plans. So we're going to start with these warriors shooting at the infiltrator squad. Now, they will be hitting on 3s. It's good for the Necrons, bad for the Ultramarines. It's quite a lot of hits. They will be wounding on 4s. Those ones, couldn't hold them. So that would be 8 hits. Ultramarines receiving the benefit of cover, even though they're not in cover. They will be saving on 3s because it's -1. So they drop 3. So that's 1 kaput and 1 on a wound. Well, that went better than expected. So only 1 of them fell and 1 of them received the wound. Next up, we have the Royal Warden having a little pot shot at the suppressors. Hitting on 3s, fails 1. Wounding on 3s, strength 5, toughness 4. As a wound, it's -2. So it will be benefits of cover, so it will be a 4 up. It is a save. The Scorpic Lord will be shooting next with his Inimic Annihilator, so 2d3 shots. So that'll be 3 shots. He will be hitting on 2s. They'll hit. Strength 6. So he will be wounding on 5s. He gets 1. So 1 save at -1 for the tank. It fails, so it takes a wound. So the Necrons have shot their shot, and they did not do too much. 1 infiltrator taken out, 1 wounded, and 1 wound on the tank. So we will see what happens in the charge phase. I'm going to run Overwatch old school style. There's only 1 charge going off just now anyway, so it doesn't really make much of a difference, but anything that charges can be overwatched just for the sake of it being a little bit more my style of narrative. So the Scorpic Lord and Scorpic Destroyer are going to charge the Repulsor. They are basically as close as they can get, so they can't really fail, but we'll roll in anyway to see how close they can get around the sides, so they can get into the squishy Space Marines on the inside. So that's a 7-inch charge, so the Scorpic Lord will just scuttle round, and the Destroyer will go just into the front here. We will resolve Overwatch against the Scorpic Lord in a second, so we'll see what happens there. So we fired the kind of bulk of the weapons off screen, and the Scorpic Lord took 3. So we're going to go with the las cannons being the last to fire, and see if they can get a hit on Overwatch. They cannot, so the Scorpic Lord gets in successfully, and we shall begin combat. So the Lord has 4 attacks, hitting on 2s. He gets to reroll hits of 1. So they all hit. It is toughness 8 tank. He has a strength 8 weapon, so that would be wounding on 4s. He only wins once. So it's -4 on that, so it goes straight through and does 3 damage. So the tank has 12 wounds remaining. Now on to the little Scorpic Destroyer. So the Scorpic Destroyer has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s with the hyper reap blade. Hyperphase reap blade, and we will see what happens. So it fails to hit once. Their strength 7 against toughness 8, so that will be wounding on 5s. It has wounded once, and again it is straight through. So the tank has now taken 7 damage and has 9 wounds remaining. So there we go, a little bit more of a successful combat phase for the Necrons, taking 6 wounds off of the tank. We'll come back with the Ultramarines turn 2. Here we go. This is where we go after the turn 2 movement of the Ultramarines. The second Infiltrator squad has pulled out on the left hand side there. The Repulsor has flown backwards after dropping everybody off. If you can just see just in front of the Repulsor there, the Lieutenant has popped out. And just down behind the Infiltrators, the Psyker has popped out as well. So everybody's out and ready to shoot. So we have Psychic first. So we'll do some Psychic shenanigans and see what happens in the Psychic phase. So our little Psyker here, he knows the Tenebrous Curse and Mind Raid. So he's going to go with the Tenebrous Curse on this little guy here, needing a 6. He fails it and perils. I will use a command point to reroll that though. So he gets it on a 9, so he suffers 1 mortal wound, and his advance and charge rolls until the next psychic phase are halved, and his movement as well. He will then do smite. The closest unit is the man over here, so we will smite. Needing a 5, getting a 7, so we got it. So that's D3. He's hoping for the big one here. He does not get the big one here, so he does another 1 wound. So he has 2 remaining. We will be back with the shooting phase. So the Eliminators are going to go and try and finish off the job on the Overlord. So we're going to go again with the Mortis rounds. So hitting on 3s. So we drop 1. We are wounding on 4s. We get 1 again. The Overlord on his 4-up invul. He makes it. He survives. The tank is going to try and split its fire between the Scorpic Lord and the Scorpic Destroyer and try and get rid of both of those. So we'll start with the big Gatling cannon. So 12 shots, hitting on 3s. The loser 1. Oh, 2. And this will be wounding on 4s.
versus toughness 6. So only 3 wounds at -1. To be fair, he needs to make most of them. He's got 2 wounds remaining. So he fails 1 and takes another wound. He is down to 1 remaining. Can it finish him off? So going to go with a little Gatling cannon into the Scorpic Lord as well. The las cannon and heavy stubber is going to go into the destroyer, and the rocket pods are going to go into the destroyer as well. So they all but 1 hit. So wounding on 4s. So just 2 more. He fails again on both of them. So he has expired. And now we have the rest of the shooting against the destroyer. Speeding up a little bit. The las cannon has wounded twice, so he has 2 6-up saves to try and stave off death. He makes neither, so the minimum damage that can be done is 1, so I'm afraid he has only 3 wounds, so he also expires. To continue the shooting phase, we will have this little lieutenant here turn his attention to these scarabs here with his Oculus bolt carbine. He's in rapid fire range, so he's getting 2 shots. They both hit. They will wound on 3s. They both wound. These scarabs have 6-up saves. They fail both. The Oculus bolt carbine does 2 damage a pop, so that is enough to wipe a base. Well done, Mr. Lieutenant. So next up, the suppressors will turn their attention to that last remaining scarab base and try and wipe it off. So 6 shots, being both heavy too, so hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and that is a scarab base gone. This infiltrator squad here, shooting at these Necron warriors. That will be 8 shots, hitting on 3s. Ooh, that's a lot of ones. Yeah, 4 hits. Wounding on 4s. 1 wound. 4-up save. We get a Necron down. Whoa. But as you know, it's 5s to get back up. But in range of this, it's 4s. So does that Necron stand back up? No, it stays gone. And last but not least, for the Ultramarine shooting phase, the second infiltrator squad will take some pot shots at the Overlord, trying to clink off those last 2 wounds. They are in rapid fire range, so it's 10 shots, hitting on 3s. So it's a couple misses. Wounding on 5s, because it's strength 4 versus toughness 5. So they get a couple of wounds. He saves both. So it was a fairly successful shooting phase for the Ultramarines. We're now going to go to charges. Are the infiltrators going to be brave enough to charge an Overlord? Who knows? The infiltrators on the other side, are they going to charge the warriors? Possibly. We'll see what happens after the charge phase. So after the charge phase, the infiltrators failed to make a charge on the Overlord, rolling 3. And the other infiltrators rolled a 12-inch charge, and they got in, surviving Overwatch. The Necrons didn't get a single shot off in Overwatch. So they are now in, and now we'll go to combat. So this squad here, they have got 13 attacks. Wounding on 3s. So we drop. We got 7 hits. Wounding on 4s. We got 4 wins. And here are those 4 saves. they fail to save any of them. Now we've got 4 reanimations on a 4-up. 2 come back, 2 stay gone. They've reanimated closer to the enemy. So now we'll have the Necrons hit back. So they have 7 attacks back. No 4s. Wounded on 4s. They get 2 hits. 2 wounds. 2 saves. And they make both of them. So they are now tied in combat. Well, until they fall back, until the Ultramarines fall back and shoot. But hey. So after the charging and the combat, it lies like this. The Infiltrators and Necron Warriors are tied in combat. The Ultramarines managed to extinguish 2 digital existences, leaving that squad with 7 warriors in it. And the other Infiltrators failed to make their charge on the Overlord. So now we go for Necron's turn 2. So after the Necron movement, this is where it lies. Scarabs have moved up to engage the Lieutenant. Royal Warden has moved up to get rapid fire on the Lieutenant. The Overlord has moved towards the Infiltrators. The Canoptic Reanimator has moved closer to that squad of warriors so it can charge into that combat. And we'll go for Necron shooting phase. Almost forgot about those little scarabs down there. They've skirted round and are going to come up behind the Eliminators. So the shooting begins with the Royal Warden getting shots off at those suppressors. So that's 4 shots. He fails to. That's 2 wounding hits because of strength 5, toughness 4. It's -2, so these are, because of the benefits of cover, these are going to be 4-ups. They make them both. And that concludes the very short and sweet Necron shooting phase. We're going to have to go to the charge phase now. Yeah, so we will start with the Royal Warden. He can't fail, but we'll see how far he can get in. He gets in 5, so he goes into these guys. Rescue for him on 2 wounds? Maybe not. He's quite good in combat. The Scarabs are going to charge. Again, they can't fail, so they will just be in. We will roll Overwatch for the Big Chief. So, hitting on 6s. He gets 1. And he fails to wound. Sad times to the Lieutenant. And then we are going to have their Canoptic Reanimator. It will just roll into combat, so it will just be in behind his robotic brethren. And that's it for charges. We'll be back for the combat phase. So starting the combat here with the Overlord. He has got 4 attacks base, +1 for the Void Blade. And he's hitting on 2s. He fails 1. He is wounding on 3s. He wounds 4 times. This is a -3 weapon. So the Ultramarines have got 6-up savage. They make 1, so 3 goes through. It is 1 damage each, so that will kill 1. And 1 takes a wound. So the Scarabs over here have 4 attacks per base, making 12 attacks. Any 6s automatically wound. Other than that, it's 4s. So we got 2 automatic wins, and then 3 further hits. And these 3 need to be 5s. They get 3 wins through. There is no minus, so it's just straight 3-up saves. He fails 2 of them, and he takes 2 wins. He has 3 wins remaining. Now we got the combat over here. I'm going and piled in a little bit closer so the big boy can get in a little bit closer to the Ultramarines, and we'll see what happens now. Starting with the Canoptic Reanimator, it gets 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, it gets 1, wounding on 4s because it's strength 3s because it's strength 5, it fails to wound. We'll have a wee CP there, why not? It wounds. It is -2, so it is a 5-up save. Failed, so it kills off that little Ultramarine that was on a wound. Ugh. And we'll have the warriors striking in. 1 attack each, so hitting on 7 attacks, hitting on 4s. So that's 4 wounds, 4 hits. Wounding on 4s. No wounds. I'll be back with the Ultramarines striking back. They were charged this turn, so it's still 10. It's -3 because of their dead brethren, but they still get 10 hits back. So 10 hits going into the warriors. Failed. And wounding on 4s. So 2 wins. No minus. Just Necron's 4-up save. They fail 1. And as that's the only thing, we'll try and reanimate on a 4. It fails to reanimate. So the Necrons lose 1 more. Blech. So we'll have the Lieutenant smack back. He's got 5 attacks. He fails to hit twice. He wins in on 3s. He wins 3 times. There's no minus. So he's got this Necron bases. I've got 6-up saves. They fail 3, so 1 base takes 3 wins. So the Infiltrators have got 13 attacks, hitting on 3s. So they fail that one. And these will be wounding on 5s. Because toughness 5 on the Overlord. So they get 4 wounds. No minus, so it's just his 3-up save. He fails 2. And we used the CP this phase, so yeah. The Overlord goes kaputty. Sploop. Yay!
So the charge phase for the Necrons didn't really go that well for them. I think they pretty much lost more than they took. So yeah, we will proceed to turn 3 for the Ultramarines to see if they can finish off the Necrons. We almost forgot about the Scarabs down here again. They did attempt to charge the Eliminators. Sadly, they failed. They rolled a double 1. And this is where the movement leaves us for Ultramarines turn 3. The far unit of Infiltrators have pulled out of combat with the Necron Warriors. The tank has moved into the middle. The Lieutenant pulled out of combat with the Scarabs. And the other Infiltrators and Psyker have moved up. The Suppressor Squad has stayed where it was. The Psyker will cast Mind Raid. Warp charge value of 6.
Passes on an 11. Why couldn't that have waited for Smite? Oh well. The Royal Warden takes 1 mortal wound, and I gain a command point. Way up to 5. He will also perform Smite, but it'll have to be on the Scarab bases. Gets on a 7. It's 1. So it takes that last wound off that base. And now for the shooting phase. The Suppressor Squad are going to fire all their shots into the Necron Warriors. So that is 6 shots. Hitting on threes. Ugh. Winding on threes. They all wind. -2 and 2 damage apiece. So they fail. So 3 fall. Do they stay failed? That's not the last of the shooting, so we'll wait for just now. The Infiltrator squad are going to try and polish off the other 3. Rapid fire, 6 shots, hitting on threes. That's more like it. Oh no, it's 4s because they fell back. Because of Ultramarines getting to fire at -1. Winding on 4s. That's 3 wins. Necrons have got 3 saves, needing 4s. They pass 2. One further one is taken out. I believe that is it for the shooting against them, because nothing else can see them. So they'll do 4 reanimation saves, needing 4s. And 2 stand back up. And 2 are forever gone. The lieutenant now with his master-crafted Oculus bolt carbine, getting his rapid fire 2, hitting on 3s. They both hit. These will be winding on 3s also. 1 fail. 1 gets through. Scarabs with a 6-up. They fail, so 1 base takes 2 damage. Staying over this side, the Eliminators will shoot at the Royal Warden. Again, they're going to go with their Mortis rounds. We get 3 hits. Winding on 4s. We get no wins this time. So now is the turn of the tank. His las cannons are going to go at the Canoptic Reanimator. His Gatling cannons, the big one and the little one, are going to go over into that squad over there. And his Icarus rocket pods are going to go at these little guys, because these guys fly. So we'll start with the rocket pods at these guys. So it's heavy D3, 2 of them. So he gets 5 hits, well 5 shots. 5 shots, hitting on 2s, because it's +1 to hit because they fly. Good job. So these are winding on 2s because it's 7 versus toughness 3. And that's 2 wins. It's 2 damage each. It is a -1, so they get no save. So 1 is dead and 1 is on 2 wins. We go with his las cannon shots now into the Canoptic Reanimator. He hits both. He wins 1. Canoptic Reanimator gets a 6-up save. It fails it. So D6 damage for 4 damage. Two wins remaining on the Canoptic Reanimator. So we did the Gatling cannons onto the Scarabs over here. It did 6 wins in total from both Gatling cannons, killing off 1 base and leaving 1 on 2 wins. The Iron Hail there, Hail Stubber, got fired at the Canoptic Reanimator and it missed. So no more wins on the Canoptic Reanimator. So after the shooting phase, it looks somewhat like that. The charge phase is going to be pretty interesting. Pump the brakes. We didn't shoot these guys. So these guys are going to shoot at the Royal Warden before we go to the charge phase. It'll still be interesting, but they're going to shoot him first. So 8 shots at the Royal Warden. Hitting on 3s. So drop 2. Wounding on 5s. So that's 2 wounds. Royal Warden saves both. Boom, boom. Now we can charge. We will start with the Infiltrators. They're charging the Royal Warden. The Royal Warden will shoot Overwatch at them. He misses. They cannot fail, but we will see how far we can wrap around him. So that's just 5, so it's not a massive charge, but enough to get them in and around. And we'll go around a wee bit like that, because we'll charge the librarian in 5. I will double check that and see if he's in. He did indeed make it into combat. So now we've got the lieutenant charging the remaining scarab base, needing about 2, so yeah, he's in. And we will get to combat. We will start with the infiltrators again. So 13 attacks, hitting on 3s. Another miss. And these will be wounding on 5s. That's a number of wounds, 4 to be exact. No minus, so Warden fails to save 2, so he takes 2 wounds. He has 2 remaining. And we'll go with the librarian and see if we can finish him off. He's got 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. He fails 2. Strength 4 versus toughness 5, so wounded on 5s. He gets 1. This is minus 3, so he fails, and he takes a further wound. He has 1 wound remaining. So the lieutenant into the scarab base, got 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, fails 1. Wounding on 3s, he gets 3 through. There's no minus. Needing 6s, they fail. The scarabs fall. Not an impressive kill, but a kill nonetheless. Well done, you. The Royal Warden gets 3 attacks back, so he is going to attack back against the Librarian. Why not? So he hits twice. He wounds twice. There's no minus. Librarian on 3 ups. He saves twice. Tied in combat. We'll see you back for Necron turn 3. So after their movement on turn 3, the Royal Warden has done a brave Sir Robin and ran away. I wouldn't stay in combat with him either. And the Necron Warriors have got themselves ready to go and shoot at these Ultramarines. So we will see what happens in the shooting phase. 8 shots. They get a whole 2. Wounding on 4s. They wound twice. Because of the benefit of cover, -1, so 3 up saves. So that is fine. We'll have the Canoptic Reanimator shoot next. Canoptic Reanimator gets 3 shots. Hitting on 4s. Wounded on 3s. And these are at -2, so because of the benefits of cover for the Shadows of Ultramar, they will be saving on 4s. They take 1. That is 1 damage. So again, that was a rather short and sweet Necron shooting phase. I believe the Canoptic Reanimator might have a wee charge at the Ultramarine Infiltrator squad, but other than that, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. So we'll see what happens with that charge. So the Canoptic Reanimator charging the Ultramarines. I believe it's in. I believe that's it. The 8 inches will make it, so it's in. We'll reserve the Overwatch, and we'll see if it's still alive. Overwatch failed to do anything, so we'll get to the stabby in a second. Correction, no stabbing, just clawing. But they look kind of stabby. So, hits twice. Wounds once. -2. It is not a save, so it kills one Ultramarine. We'll have to be that guy there that was on 2 wounds, not the commandy dude. And they'll have their attacks back. They'll get 6 hits back. They'll fail 2. Wounding on 5s. They get 2 wounds through. And it's save on 4-ups. It fails both. And it takes its final 2 wounds. Actually, it goes to 5 wounds, because I forgot to take 1 off for living metal. So technically, it's still alive. And tied in combat. Yep, that was short and sweet. So we're going to go to the next one. We're going to go to Ultramarines, turn 4. And see where we stand after that. And for all you wondering if I'd forgotten about that Scarab lot again, I had. They did attempt to charge the boys up there again. They failed again, but they got shot off the table this time. So, you know, I don't have to forget about them again. So now we'll carry on. Movement phase, we're just going to say something like that. There's no need to go anywhere really. So we'll see if we can finish the Necrons off in the shooting phase. But first, the psychic phase, obviously. So we're just going to go for Smite. Smite goes off on a 5. Does 2 wounds. That kills the Royal Warden. Night, sweet prince. Now we can shoot. So the suppressors are going to shoot at the warriors. 6 shots, hitting on 3s. They fail 1. These are wounded on 3s as well. That's 7 versus 4. They get 2 through. It's -2, so it's 6 ups. They fail. 2 go sploot. It's not the shooting done, so we won't try and reanimate them just yet. And we'll carry on with some more shooting. You have 4 shots coming in from these infiltrators here, shooting at these warriors. They fail to hit twice. Wounded on 4s. They get 1 through. It's a failed save, so it's a downed Necron. I'll see if I can rustle up something else to shoot at them. So nothing else has line of sight on him. So his little buddies there, as nothing else can shoot at him, are going to get a chance to get back up. On 4s. So 3 of them. I know, I rolled too many dice. So there's only 3. We'll do that again. 2 of them. So 1 of them is gone. It was the same result either way. Right. And we shall get on with the tank shooting at the Canoptic Reanimator. So all the fire from the tank eventually managed to drop the Canoptic Reanimator, taking its last wound off it. And it is gone, leaving behind 3 warriors with nothing to shoot at them. Turns out I forgot, they've got a bullet that can go through buildings. They don't need to see the enemy. So they're going to take 3 shots at these guys, see if we can get them a hit. Wrong dice, we're not using the yellow ones, so that didn't count, even though they were all hits. They're still all hits. These are wounded on 3s. Fail 1, but I'm going to CP it because I want it. They are -1, 1 damage. So, of course they pass 1. So 2 fall. 2 of those 2 get back up on 5s. No, they don't. So there is 1 left remaining. And at this point, it pretty much looks like he is going to be a POW. Though he'll probably just vacate his body and go back to the ship. So yeah. Resounding victory for the Shadows of Ultramar in their first narrative campaign battle. So let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see them go up against next. I've heard some suggestions like a Titan or Orcs, but we'll see what happens.
So there we go, guys. That was the first campaign battle for the Shadows of Ultramar. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really fun. Again, missed a couple of rules. I managed to catch most of them, so it's fine. I will get smoother with my transitions in the rules and filming as I go. It's still quite nerve-wracking, but I hope to get more polished. But yeah, a resounding victory for the Shadows of Ultramar. And as I said at the end, let me know if you guys want to see them go up against something. I've got orcs, I've got more necrons, I've got a titan, I've got corn, chaos space marines, I've got guard that could go traitor for a little bit, space wolves that, you know, they like killing ultramarines just as much as they like killing traitors. You know, let me know in the comments below, and you know, I've got nids as well. Ultramarines and nids could be a nice one. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you fancy seeing next, and we'll keep it going. I've been Wardrum Batreps. You guys have been awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.